हेलो एवरीवन, जय हिंद एंड वेलकम टू द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ श्रीराम्स IAS। और यहां पर मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं कि व्हाट टू नो इफ यू आर अपियरिंग फॉर द यूपीएससी पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट। सो you have cleared prelims, you have cleared the mains, and now the another hurdle that is in front of you is about the personality test and what all should you know if you are appearing for the your personality test or the interview in front of the UPSC panel board. Now, my name is Bhavar Singh Suroi. I'm ex-NDA 115th course, as well as I have qualified civil services in 2012. So ultimately यहाँ पर मैं आपसे बात करूंगा कि क्या चीजें आपको ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए, what all things should be there and what all things you should know. Now, before coming to what all things you should know, please remember that the interview is not exactly an examination. ठीक है, ये एक एग्जामिनेशन नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट टेस्ट ऑफ योर नॉलेज, दिस इज नॉट टेस्ट ऑफ योर मेमोरी रिकॉल और परफेक्ट फ्लुएंसी और फ्लॉलेस आंसर्स. दिस इज नॉट टेस्ट ऑफ योर नॉलेज. अगेन, ये टेस्ट नहीं है कि आप कितना अच्छा बोलते हैं, कितने फ्लुएंटली बोलते हैं, या आपको कितनी चीजें याद है, हाउ मेनी फैक्ट्स यू हैव रिमेंबर्ड, या फिर इट इज नॉट द टेस्ट ऑफ योर फ्लॉलेस answers as well, because we all have flaws and ultimately that is reflected in front of the board. So it is a test of your personality. Please remember that it is a test of your personality, and that is why the name is personality. So it is test of your personality and your presence. It is test of your maturity and wisdom. The test of the clarity of thoughts, how you are structuring your answers, and ultimately the suitability for responsibility, that is whether you are suitable to be an administrator in the future. So this is what the interview is all about. Ultimately, when it comes to the mindset, please remember that you had a mindset till now, and the mindset was of the student. That is why you have read GS, you have excelled in GS, and then you have excelled in your optionals. But at the same time, do not enter the interview room as a student. I will suggest you, and ultimately I always say that it is the aptitude. All right, please develop that thinking. Please develop that mindset of the administrator. मैं हमेशा आप लोगों से ये कहता हूं कि if you have that aptitude of an administrator, if you have that mindset of an administrator, your half battle is won. ठीक है, कि आधी लड़ाई आपने जीत ली है. अगर आप वैसा ही सोचते हैं, आप एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर की तरह सोचते हैं, उसकी तरह चलते हैं, उसकी तरह बात करते हैं, तो आपकी आधी लड़ाई पूरी हो चुकी है, क्योंकि वो रिफ्लेक्ट होगा आपके मेंस के आंसर्स में, वो रिफ्लेक्ट होगा आपकी पर्सनालिटी में, एंड अल्टीमेटली वहां पर जो बोर्ड है वो आपको रिजेक्ट करने के लिए नहीं बैठा हुआ है. So this is the mindset that you need. This is the shift that you need. You have knowledge, you have facts, you have everything. But now you need the change of the mindset. You have to enter as a future administrator. चाहे वो आपकी टोन है, चाहे वो आपका पोस्चर है, चाहे वो आपका थिंकिंग है, that must reflect that there had been a transformation from a student who have written the mains to the future administrator, because the board wants to select the future administrator. तो ये चीज आपको ध्यान में रखनी है. Now the UPSC will be assessing you on the balance of mind, whether you are able to see multiple perspective. They will be seeing or assessing you on your constitutional thinking, कि you respect the democratic values and the rule of law or not. They will be seeing the clarity of thoughts, जो कि आपके structured, coherent answers से आपका reflect होगा. They see the emotional stability, whether you are calm and composed under pressure, and ultimately the administrative temperament, that is your decision making capacity, that will be seen by the UPSC, and also ultimately your genuine self-awareness, that is your honesty and humility, will be seen when you will be there in front of the board. Now the first thing, or the first truth, I told you that the board is not actually there to reject you. The board wants you to succeed. Board is not there to criticize you or to reject you or to give you less marks. They want to give you marks, but they will be able to give you marks only when you will be there with your complete humility, as well as you have already cleared the mains. That means you have already impressed them. All right, you have already impressed them. ठीक है, कि इस बंदे ने, इस बच्चे ने मेंस क्लियर किया. दैट मीन्स अल्टीमेटली यू हैव द नॉलेज. अदरवाइज हाउ अ पर्सन विल बी अपीयरिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ द बोर्ड. सो ये आपको यहां पर सोचना है कि यहां पर बोर्ड जो है वो आपको फेल करने के लिए नहीं है. ठीक है, इट इज नॉट टू फेल यू. It is over there because they know that you have qualified the mains. That means now you have that ultimate mindset and you have already impressed them. But now only the thing that is required is not your answers that you have written in the mains, but now you require the administrative thinking that they will be looking forward. All right. Ultimately, they will be seeing, or they will be not there to eliminate you, and they want to understand actually who you are. That is the personality test all about. That is all the interviews are all about. ठीक है, कोई भी इंटरव्यू है, मैं सिर्फ यूपीएससी की इंटरव्यू की बात नहीं करूंगा. You go for the SSB interview, you go for any corporate interview. So over there, they want to understand you, who you are, whether you are suitable to the job. Over here, the job is of the administrative capacity. So whether you are suitable for the job or not. So that they will be seeing. And ultimately, that is all this is all about. It is not a test. So over here, you have to understand that you have supplied them your detailed application form. So you have to know your DAF like you know everything. All right. And everything in DAF should be known to you. Whether it is your, hometown or district, your educational journey, optional subject that you have opted for, your work experience, hobbies and interests, and service preferences. Because ultimately, whatever you have written in your DAF, that is a potential question. All right. And I told you that 70% of your complete interview will revolve around DAF. And that is why I'm planning to start a complete series on DAF. All right. That will be a DAF decoded, where we'll be studying about, or we'll be knowing about what different type of questions are asked from the DAF and how you can prepare them. All right. Now, over here, you have written about your home state. Now, you have to know everything about your home state thoroughly. All right. Because your state is asked in about 70% of the questions. All right. And interviews. So, ultimately, you have to know about the economy and resources. What are the key industries in your state? What are the GDP contributions, the employment sectors that are there? Along with this, you have to understand the governance structure as well. How many administrative divisions are there? How many districts are there? How many talukas are there? All right, the key departments which are there in your state, and even the local bodies as well. You have to understand the current issues that your state is facing. Any challenges that is being faced by the state today, that you must know about. All right, at the same time, the cultural identity. All right, of the heritage, of the festivals, the traditions, or the language that is related to your state, and the demographics, that is population, literacy, as well as health indicators, and the strength and potentials. That is what makes your state unique. That is what all you have to cover. At the same time, you have to know about your district as well. All right, what are the problems that your district is facing right now? Whether it is development challenges, or infrastructure gaps, or any social issues which are there in your district. At the same time, the development indicators, that is the literacy rate, the health metrics, as well as the economic growth of your district, and then the unique features which sets your district apart culturally or geographically, and also the administrative structure. How many blocks are there? How many panchayats are there? Local governance bodies. All right, so that all you need to keep in your mind, because ultimately this is your identity and it demonstrates that you have a local awareness as well. So you have to know about your home state, you have to know about your home district as well. All right, and then you have to know about your educational background. Why you have chosen a particular degree. All right, you did BTech, you did BA, you did BSc. Why? What drew you to that field of study? At the same time, if you have studied a subject at your graduation, so what are the core concepts and skills that you have acquired after learning that particular subject? At the same time, the administrative relevance, how it shapes your approach to the governance, and that again is a probable question that would be asked from you, and also any practical application and experiences that you must have had while undergoing the graduation or post-graduation. So again, you have to know about your educational background, and you should be able to explain your academic journey with clarity, as well as with the purpose of the administrative relevance as well. At the same time, you have to know about your optional and the conceptual level. All right, why you choose an optional subject. All right, it may be related to your graduation or post-graduation, but at the same time, if it is not related, why you have chosen a very unrelated subject from your field of study that you studied during your graduation or post-graduation, that you must have the answer for. That is what the board will be looking forward. So why you choose for it? So there could be a personal interest, or there could be a background, or whether it was a strategic fit for clearing the civil services. At the same time, the 10 core concepts, the foundational ideas that define your subjects, and ultimately the core concepts that are there for the subjects that must be known to you, and also its relevance to the administration. All right, how you can apply it for the policy and the governance. Again, that is a very probable question that would be asked from your optional. So you have to focus on the conceptual understanding and not towards the factual recall. You have to have a proper concept when it comes to your optional, and you have to show how your optional have shaped your thinking towards the administrative behavior. All right, then you have to know about your work experience as well. Because over here, the UPSC will, it will expect or respect that you have lived the experience, and also when it comes to the practical learning, that is again a very important aspect, what the UPSC will be looking forward. All right, so what are the key responsibilities that you were accountable for when or if you are right now working, or if you were working before? So what were the responsibilities, key responsibilities areas? All right, what are the lessons that you have learned, the skills or the insights that you must have gained during your work ex, as well as the management experiences, that whether you have led teams or you have handled the conflicts, because ultimately the management is also a part of the administration as well, and also the teamwork situations where you have collaborated and coordinated, and the failures and corrections as well. Because when we are in the, when we are working, so there may be certain challenges that you must have faced. So how you overcome those challenges, all right, or if there were some troubles, all right, there were some failures. So how you overcame that, and what all corrections that you have made, because that is how you learn, and that is what you should learn while you are working. So ultimately, they will ask for your work experience as well. Now, you have to know about your hobbies in depth as well. All right, they have to be real and genuine. Please remember, never to fake a hobby. I told this when I have taken the session on DAF as well. और वहां पर भी मैंने आपको बताया था कि कभी भी आप जो है फेक हॉबी आप ना यूज करें, ठीक है। इसी के साथ साथ यू मस्ट हैव अ डिटेल्ड नॉलेज, जहां पर when it comes to the hobbies, you know about terminologies, techniques and nuances as well. Like for example, if you have written in your interest playing cricket, you must know about pitch, all right, the dimension of the pitch. तो वो आपसे पूछ लेंगे, ठीक है। आपने ऐसे ही लिख दिया फुटबॉल, ठीक है, प्लेइंग फुटबॉल। अब उसका फुटबॉल का जो ग्राउंड है उसका आपको डायमेंशन नहीं पता, तो फिर हाउ डू यू प्ले फुटबॉल? So ultimately you have to know about terminologies, techniques and nuances as well. And also there could be, when it comes to your hobbies or achievements. So ultimately the stories, achievements and challenges could be asked in your interview. Along with this, you have to show genuine enthusiasm, and your passion should be there for the hobby, that what hobby you have written in your GF. So ultimately you will find that 20 to 40% of the interview question and the conversation will be based upon your hobbies as well. So you have to know about your hobbies in depth. Then you have to know what you stand for. That is your personal philosophy, because every answer that you will be giving over there will be shaped and reshaped by that personal philosophy. So the core values should be integrity, empathy and service. All right, service before self, that should be displayed, because that is what an administrative behavior will look like. At the same time, you can talk about inspirations. All right, what have inspired you for that particular philosophy or the core values, whether it is the people, the books, as well as the events, and the motivation. You must ask yourself, why civil services? Why you want to join civil services? Because this would be asked in your interview. And then the leadership style, that is how you will lead others in conflict especially, and also your perspectives on the society. So you have to know what do you stand for. All right, you have to prepare your personal philosophy, because that will ultimately guide your all the examinations. Now, there are certain safe zones of the interview. When you are talking about these, all right, these areas, they will project you well, and ultimately they will allow for the genuine expression. That is your life story, your experiences, state and district, governance issues, as well as ethics and values, constitutional values, social questions and administrative thinking. So over here, these are the safe zones when you are in the interview. But at the same time, when it comes, there are certain danger zones as well. You have to be very balanced whenever you are answering any questions related to these danger zones. Alright, they require balanced and nuanced answers. Ultimately, you do not have to be at the extreme positions. That is, whenever any question is asked from the politics. Alright, stay neutral and focus on the policy, not any party. At the same time, when it comes to religion, you have to respect all faiths equally and show the secular character of your mindset. At the same time, when it comes to caste and identity, you have to give the constitutional perspective only and not your personal opinion. At the same time, when it comes to ideology, that should be balanced and not extreme. And for any foreign policy, avoid any strong opinions, as well as for the military strategy, refer to the expertise knowledge only. So ultimately, these are the danger zones where you have to be balanced and give the nuanced answers only. Now, also you must know that I do not know how to answer it. Alright, so over here you can say I am not fully aware about this, ma'am or sir. Ultimately, you have to be genuine. If you do not know, please do not bluff. That is very, very important, because if you are saying that you do not know or you are not fully aware, alright, I don't know is quite blunt. You will not say I don't know. You will say I am not fully aware about this or of this, sir or ma'am, because that will show that there is credibility, and that will increase your credibility and shows that there is intellectual honesty as well as maturity, and you are, or this answer is better than any guesswork or bluffing in front of the interview board. Now, you have to know how to structure your answers. Whenever any question is put to you, you have to structure it. And these are the 5 areas how you can structure your answers, alright, depending upon the type of the question. The first thing is the 2-point framework. 2-point framework is simply, like for example, I am talking about pros and cons. So I am talking about pros and cons, I am talking about advantage and disadvantage, and then I am giving a balanced perspective, because that is required. The conclusion is required. Please remember, the structure is same as you have written the mains answer. That is the same structure that you will follow while giving the answers to the interview board. That is, there should be an intro, alright? The structure is again same, intro, then you will come to the body, and ultimately you will go to conclusion. Alright, the conclusion could be the future, or the way forward that you can speak about, or it could be also a balanced perspective as well. Alright, so it could be a 2-point framework that you can utilize for your structured answers, responses. There could be also past, present and future that we can talk about. What happened in the past, what is happening right now, and what is a way forward or what can happen in the future. So that shows that you have a temporal thinking. At the same time, problem and solution, where you are giving an action-based approach. What will be the action for a particular problem? So action-oriented approach is again, it is an administrative thinking and behavior, and then concept and then example, where you can explain a theory with the help of the explanation and example. Again, that is a way of structuring your responses. And then local, national and global, that is a multi-level perspective. So in these way, alright, whether 2-point framework, past, present, future, problem, solution and concept, example, local, national and global, this is the way that how you can structure your answers during the interview. Sorry. Now, it is very important that you stay calm, you stay composed. For staying calm and composed, it is important to practice or take the time to think before answering. And for this, you can take 3-second pause, or you can even extend it like 4 seconds. All right. So that is, it is not exactly like you will count to 3 in your mind. So take 3-second pause, structure your answer. What will be your introduction? How you will start answering? All right. The first few lines, and then you will come to the body and then conclusion. You have to structure your answer, and for that you can take a pause. All right. At the same time, breath should be slow. You have to regulate your nervous system and your breathing pattern as well. There should be a stable posture where you have to sit upright, grounded as well as confident, and there should be a controlled pace. All right. You should not speak rapidly. At the same time, you should not speak very slow. So there should be a deliberate speed when it comes to speaking in front of the board members. So ultimately, when you are composed, when you are, you are calm and composed, So that is what the board will appreciate, and not that you are picking up the speed. Ultimately, I have taken a session about the body language, how your body language should be when you are there in front of the board. So ultimately, the interview board or the members of the board, they will be looking at your body language right after you walk inside. Alright, so that is where your walk-in, if there is a confident stride, appropriate greeting, that would be seen by the board members. Your facial calmness will be seen by the board members. Your posture, how you are sitting, how you are walking, how you are standing, as well as eye contact and the tone of the voice. So the naturalness, that matters more than the polish, and you must remember that the body language counts for maximum of the, when it comes to the communication. So there are two types of communication: verbal, that you will be speaking in front of the board, and there is non-verbal communication, where your body communicates everything about you and your personality. So you have to know that the body language, it will speak first before you will speak even a word. So that is why you have to know the proper body language, and if you have not seen that session, please go through that session that was uploaded at our channel itself, and please remember that you have to have a proper body language when you are there for the interview. Now, when it comes to, guide the interview, so you have to know how to guide the interview. Again, I have taken a session on this, that how to guide the interview, how to, give hooks to your answers, where you will have a clear understanding कि अच्छा मैंने ये hook यहाँ पर लगा दिया है, तो अब आगे से इसी के बारे में question पूछा जाएगा. Like for example, if something have been asked for me, from me, ठीक है, और मैं वहाँ पर आपका अपने answers देते हुए बोल रहा हूँ, during my internship at the district level or at district collectorate, I came to know about this. Now I know कि मेरे internship से लेकर सवाल पूछे जाएंगे. At the same time, based on my field experience in rural Bihar. Now the questions will be from my field experience and rural areas. Alright. So ultimately the questions will be asked from here. And something we observed during our village survey. So again, over here the question may be pertinent to the village survey or to the rural background, to the issues and challenges that are there in the rural India. So ultimately you have to understand that you can certainly steer the conversation and the board will follow your direction. But at the same time, you have to go through the complete session that I have taken, that how you can control your interview and you can guide it thoroughly. At the same time, you have to steer the interviews to your strength, alright, not to your weakness. Alright, that is towards your academic excellence, towards your work experience, towards your personal interest and field exposure. Again, in the same session that I have taken earlier, you will find a complete guidance how you can guide and steer your interview with the answers that you give. Now, these are the 5-pronged formula that I will give you for the interview. If you are appearing for the interview, these are very important. Take a moment to think and pause before answering. Okay? Then also concentrate and center yourself physically and concentrate on breathe, and your breathing should be normal. At the same time, you have to structure your answers. You have to organize your responses mentally, and then you have to answer. And ultimately, you have to answer slow. You have to deliver with intention and clarity, as well as you have to finish strong, conclude with the quiet confidence, and you can put in the hooks over here when you are concluding so that you can steer the complete interview into your favor and the way you will want it to deliver. Alright, the tone matters more than the vocabulary when you are there in front of the interview board. Alright, you have to be respectful. You have to acknowledge the panel's experience as well as the perspective. You have to be non-defensive, non-aggressive as well. Alright, you have to stay calm and composed. The more calm and composed you are in front of the board, the more they are likely to give you more, marks during the interview. And you have to be sincere, that you have to speak with authenticity, as well as there should be whatever you are speaking, that should not be there to impress the board members. Now, when it comes to the opinions, your opinions are welcome. The board wants, or the board will want you to say something or your perspective. But again, there are certain guardrails. All right. When it comes to the constitutional questions, you have to align with the democratic values and with the rule of law. When it comes to the moderate, all right, so your answers should be moderate. It should not go to the extreme, whether it is the positive or the negative extremes. You should avoid the extremes and on the either end, that is positive and negative. At the same time, your answer should be evidence-based. All right, that you should be able to give data, you should be able to give examples or logic, and your answers must be open-minded, where you are willing to consider the others' viewpoints as well. So ultimately, when you are giving the answers, you must keep all these things in your mind, that there should be no rigidity, no extremism, as well as you must give a balanced perspective, and ultimately you will win in your personality test. So the board will test your balance, not your brilliance. All right, that is again very, very important. All right, you have to give a balanced perspective where you are acknowledging the complexity as well as nuance. As at the same time, it should be balanced, it should be brilliant, but at the same time not rigid. All right, you must be able to absorb the various perspectives into the answers that you are giving in. All right, and there should be impressive knowledge. Ultimately, you have an impressive knowledge. That's why you have cleared the mains. And there should be no narrow thinking. Your thinking should be broad. And when it comes to passion, so passion should be included with the pragmatism. You should not give any kind of emotional or ideological answers. If you are answering in emotional or in a kind of ideological answers, so ultimately there should be a pragmatism as well. The approach to pragmatism that should be reflected along with your answers. So over here, when it comes to the life story, all right, there should be a coherent narrative. And this coherent narrative is based on your DAF or detailed application form. That is, why this degree, what drew you towards the field of study, why this job, how did your career choices align with the goals that you have or with the studies that you have conducted. Along with this, why UPSC, why this hobby? You must answer these before you get inside the interview board or interview room. Because if you have the answers to these, all right, and a credible answers to these, then you will you will fare very good in front of the board. Why I am telling you this? Because these are the questions that will be asked to you. All right. So these are some things that you do not do before you enter or even in front of the board. What you do not do is you do not bluff, never fabricate knowledge, and it is the honesty that is looked by the board members. All right. Do not give long speeches because ultimately that will bore the board members. So keep it concise and straightforward, focused. Do not go with the overconfidence. All right. Do not show or display overconfidence. Confidence is good, but at the same time, overconfidence displays arrogance. At the same time, do not be defensive. Accept the questions without taking them personally, and do not take any extreme stances, as well as do not have any negativity. Maintain a constructive approach while you are giving the answers, and do not share any kind of moral lectures. All right, share the values, but at the same time you should not preach them, and also stay neutral on any kind of political matters, and respect is earned through substance. So do not compliment the board members. All right, now over here let me tell you that the board is also they are human members, they are human, and there is a human side to them as well. All right, they bring diverse and they have a distinguished background. When it comes to the board that will be there in front of you, that will be sitting in front of you, they will be the senior civil servants. They have decades of administrative experience and even public service as well. They would be educators. All right, they would be academic leaders who have who value learning and the growth, and they would be subject experts as well. They will be specialists who will assess the depth and understanding. So ultimately, you have to remember that the board is quite expert. All right, they have senior civil servants, educators, subject matter experts. So they want to see if you are ready to serve India with the enthusiasm as well as with the right set of or the bent of mindset, and that is what is exactly required. And that is why I'm saying that do not bluff, because they have more experience than your age as well. All right, so ultimately the board will or the interview will reward you if there is calmness under pressure, there is clarity of thought and expression, honesty and authenticity, modesty and even humility, and groundedness in reality, and even administrative thinking. So that is where you will earn more marks. But at the same time, brilliance without balance, perfection or polished responses and academic genius, only the academic kind of the answers that you will be giving without any practical or pragmatic approach, and overconfidence or rigidity that will take away your marks. So you have to remember that this is where you will succeed. They are not looking for the smartest person. Alright, they are not looking for the person who will score maximum in the mains, or he will score 10 out of 10 in the exam. They are not looking for the smartest person. They are looking for the right person for the right job. And that is what you need to understand when you are going for the interview at the UPSC. So you are ready, and you are only ready if you have mastered these essentials. Now, what are these essentials? It is your DF, because you have to know every detail intimately and in detail as well, because the questions will be posed from here, and about 70% of the questions or the conversation or the interview will be based on your DF. You have to know about your state, that is your home region. You have to know about your story, all right, the complete life narrative that you have, and ultimately your strengths as well as your weaknesses, and you have to stay calm and composed under the scrutiny of the board, and ultimately you have to give the structured answers. And UPSC is not testing your knowledge over here, all right, it is just testing whether you are the right material for being in the administrative capacity. All right, over here, let me tell you that we are offering you with the interview guidance program. In this interview guidance program, we will provide you with detailed, the expert panel-like kind of the experience just before your actual UPSC interview. You need to register for this interview guidance program, and the number for the registration is 9811-489-560. Or alternatively, you can scan the QR code and then you can register for our interview guidance program at SRIRAM's IAS. And I will see you in the next video, where we'll be seeing how you can decode the DF, and ultimately by decoding the DF, you may know, or firsthand you will know that from where the questions will be asked and what could be asked from me, from my home state, from my personal information, from my hobbies. So everything I will discuss in detail when I'll be taking the session DF Decoded. So that would be all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Jai Hind. I'll see you in the next. Thank you and Jai Hind.